These are my assembly instructions to my countdown to Christmas. In the file, I have two sets of circles. Well, actually, some of them are interrupted circles, and then I have my full circles. So for my full circles, I have 3 different sizes, and I have 3 copies of them, and I have drawn rectangles on the top layer. I'm stacking up the 3 layers that are the similar size and gluing them exactly on top of one another, or as close as I can. And the top layer is the layer with the drawn rectangles. So I'm just gluing all 3 sets of these together the same way. So now that I've glued these together, I'm going to work on these circles. These are also cut out of 110-pound cardstock. I wanted something nice and thick and sturdy. And I have 4 copies of each one of these. And I'm going to do the same thing with them. I'm just covering one side in glue and stacking them up, being very careful to match up the edges as well as I can. So for these pieces, one end is cut straight and the other end is cut on a diagonal. And I just want to make sure that when I'm gluing them together that I'm matching up the ends as perfectly as I can. So next I've cut my numbers out of vinyl and I'm going to apply them to my rounds. Now for the largest round, since the odds are you're not going to be counting down for more than a year, I only have 4 numbers on it. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And for the 2 others, I have numbers 0 through 9. So hidden in the layers panel, you'll find an image that has these 3 circles with the numbers already attached. And so you can cut that out in vinyl and everything will already be exactly where it needs to be. But in the interest of saving material, I actually just grouped my numbers. So when I cut them out, I used a very small amount of vinyl instead of using the 8 inches of vinyl it would take to cut these circles and having the numbers exactly where they need to be. This way I have to position them manually. It takes a little bit more time. I'm just going along using some transfer paper that I've stuck to my jeans a few times to remove the stickiness. I'm placing my numbers on the left-hand side of my circle and upright so that they show up in the right direction on my project. So I'm just centering my numbers in the little rectangles on the left-hand side, and then I'd keep rotating and adding the next number. I've done that on the largest circle, the middle size, and now the smaller, and I'm starting again from 0 and doing the same thing on it. So now that I've adhered all my numbers on my rings, so I've got 2 panels that are the base, and they both have pin markings on them. This one is for the bottom, and I have this one that has 2 different colored circles drawn on it. I'm going to flip it over and put glue on the underside of it. And then I'm gluing it to the side that doesn't have any pen markings of that second piece. And I want those edges to match up nicely. So I have the circular markings here, and then I have 2 lines down here. So now I'm taking my cream colored pieces. So these pieces should fit within the brown colored lines that are on my card base. And they serve as tracks for my white rings so that I can rotate them. I'm going to glue these down. I'm dry fitting them first, making sure that they fit nicely. I'm putting glue on the underside, and then I'm gluing this piece within the drawn lines that are on my base. And then I'm going to put the smallest one of my white rounds, and yeah, it seems to work just fine. So next I'm taking the next track that is 1 size up. I'm dry fitting it, so one edge is cut straight and the other one is cut diagonal. And I'm putting glue on the underside of it. And again, I'm placing it within the drawn lines that are on my base piece. So I'm just adjusting them, and I want it exactly within those drawn brown lines. And then I'm doing the same thing for the next size up. I'm double checking with my shapes to make sure that they still can turn nicely, which they can. And then my largest size, it's a little bit easier because it follows the outer edge of my base shape. So next I'm just inserting my white rings. And I'm going to put that aside for now while I decorate the cover. I've got a piece of black 110-pound cardstock and then a piece of blue 80-pound cardstock. I'm putting glue on the underside of my blue piece. I'm just gluing my blue piece on top. I'm just making sure that those 3 rectangular cutouts are layered up exactly on top of one another and that all the edges match up. And then I have this piece. The score line on this piece is for placement. for my little Santa image. So I'm putting glue on the underside of it. And then again, I'm matching up those 3 rectangular cutouts. If you flip it over, you can see how well you've laid it down. And then just gluing down the rest of that panel. And then I have my 3 Christmas trees. So I'm putting glue on the underside of them and gluing them down. For the yellow and the green, any cardstock will do. I think this is 65-pound cardstock, and this is some shimmer cardstock. It's probably 65 pounds as well. And then my Santa is print and cut. So I printed it on printable vinyl, and I've adhered it to a base cut out of 110-pound cardstock. I'm just putting glue on the underside of it, and I'm finding those score lines on my card base and positioning my image within those score lines. And then I have my banner that says Days Until Christmas. So this is more of that vinyl that I used for the numbers earlier. And I'm using more of that transfer tape that I've stuck to my jeans a few times to remove the stickiness. I'm adhering it to my white piece. And so then I have a backing for it just to make it sturdier. So I'm putting glue on the underside of my decorated one, and I've cut this piece out of 110-pound cardstock just to make it a little bit sturdier. So I'm placing my piece, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm lightly marking the tails of my banner so that I know that my glue has to go in between those lines. And then I'm just covering the underside of it in glue. And then again, I'm matching up those 3 cutouts and then gluing the rest of it down. So I have my base and I've got my rings in place, and I'm just putting glue in the center of those cream colored pieces, or my tracks as I've been calling them. So it's just a bead of glue in the very center. I don't want the glue to get onto my white circles. And then I'm taking my cover piece and I'm matching it up to the bottom and just gluing it all down. Before my glue is completely dry, I'm just going to make sure that I can turn my white pieces. Then they move freely, so that's good. And then I'm going to flip my piece over, and I have 2 easels. So I have one easel, I'm just folding on that center score line, and it's cut out of 110-pound cardstock. And then you can position your circle right on it. Or I have a second option for this one, folding on the score lines that run the length of my piece, and then I'm bringing that center piece towards me and then folding it back. Then I'm bringing both sides up and bringing the semicircle towards me, and the cutouts on either side allow me to pull that forward like so. Then I'm going to flip my project over, so I'm looking at the bottom. I'm putting glue on the bottom portion of my easel, and I'm just gluing it down between the score lines that are on my base and right against the bottom of my circle. So a second option for an easel, and what's good about this is that when you want to put it back in storage, your easel folds flat. And so that is my countdown to Christmas project.